Welcome to Offscreen. This week we're reading Triple Nine by Matt Cook. A gang of crooked cops plan a major heist that will require them to shoot a fellow officer in order to get away with it.
Oh, before we get to anything else, I want to formally thank my fiance, Cal, for fixing our recorder. Otherwise, we would not have been able to record this episode.
This is very true. He fixed it.
I don't even know what was wrong with it, but he figured it out. So
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah. Okay. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, so Matt Cook,
He has another credit to his name?
so Matt Cook has also written a script called By Way of Helena that appears to have been produced starring Liam Hemsworth and Woody Harrelson. It's a Western.
We got Woody Harrelson in both of these.
We got Woody Harrelson in both. William Hurt is also in this other one. And I guess the film is done.
This is going to be a good year for him.
Yeah, so it'll be a good year. I don't know when it sold or for how much it sold, but the film I think was purchased for distribution at Cannes by Lionsgate is what it appears.
So he's got the Western coming out, and then he's got Triple Nine.
Coming out in February of 2016.
Which is more of an action-y
crime
thriller.
It's like a heist movie.
Yeah, that's better. Heist movie.
It's gonna star Woody Harrelson.
Star is a strong word for that role.
Okay,
I don't know.
Not star.
That's not really a
the
strong
cast
role.
features. The cast includes Woody Harrelson, Kate Winslet, Teresa Palmer, Anthony Mackie, Casey Affleck, Aaron Paul, Michael K. Williams.
Okay, I don't know like half of the people you just named, but
you would recognize their faces. And also, God, this guy's a great actor. I can never pronounce his name. So is it worth trying?
Chiwetel Ejiofor? That's what I'm going to say.
That's not right. Like, you're not even close.
Oh, cool.
I don't think, but it's better than I would have done, so.
What was he in?
He was in a movie called Dirty Pretty Things, which was great. He was also in 12 Years a Slave, Children of Men, American Gangster.
But, and this is the thing I'll get to later, you can put Kate Winslet in this role, and that's great. She's a fine actress, but that is not a good role. Like, I feel like that's, like, way overdoing it.
Wait.
I'm pretty sure she's Michelle, right?
No, she's Irene. I don't even remember Irene.
Oh. See,
Who's Irene?
Well, I don't know. I think some changes have probably been made since the version of the script that we read. One of which made it sound better than the script we read, actually. Because I read somewhere, I don't even remember now, that the cop they're trying to kill as, like, a diversion sort of thing just, like, actually survives and fights back, which is not exactly what happens. I don't know if that's just a bad way of describing what happens in the script or if they changed it.
Right. The way that the script ends, as we read it, it's, like, set up for a sequel.
Yeah, definitely.
Like 100%.
Definitely.
So it makes sense. And then this isn't the type of movie that gets a sequel.
Right. Yeah, no,
like
definitely.
Superhero movies get sequels. That's about it. And Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So it would be good. I don't know if that makes it too long or something, because it's already a pretty long screenplay. It's like 125-ish pages.
Yeah.
But
anyway, should I do the actual summary?
Yeah, do the actual summary.
Did you have anything else you want to say?
No. Oh, yeah, I did. It's going to be directed by, or it has been directed by John Hillcoat, who directed The Proposition, which is a great, like, Australian Western. He also directed The Road, Lawless.
Okay.
That series of Levi's commercials.
The Pioneer ones?
The Pioneers ones.
Right.
You know how I feel about those.
Yeah, I do.
Terrence Malick knockoff.
Yeah, I don't want to argue about that.
No. It just needs to be stated.
But, alright. Can I do the summary?
Yeah.
Alright. Michael Laird heads up a crew of 5 robbers based in Los Angeles. The team consists of his brother Gabriel and 3 dirty cops from the LAPD named Welsh, Tompkins, and Rodriguez. Their next job has to do with a mysterious package arriving at the Department of Homeland Security's local station. Due to the tight security, Rodriguez suggests they call in a 999. That's police code for an officer down. According to protocol, all units are diverted to the scene, creating the perfect distraction. In short, they'll have to shoot a cop. As their victim, the crew elects to use Tompkins' new partner, Chris. But instead of doing the dirty work themselves, they set a trap. While Michael and Welsh infiltrate the DHS office, Tompkins leads his partner right into the hands of a wanted gangbanger who has a grudge against the LAPD. Everyone plays their part perfectly except Gabriel. He's a former cop himself and has had second thoughts about killing one of his own. At the decisive moment, he takes a bullet for Chris. The resulting shootout leaves both Gabriel and the gangbanger dead. Tompkins is only wounded, but it's enough to make Chris call in a 999. The LAPD dispatches all units to the scene. Meanwhile, Michael and Welsh make off with the score. Chris gradually puts together the pieces of what happened, that he was supposed to die as a decoy. Standing over a comatose Tompkins in the hospital, he vows revenge against his traitorous partner and the rest of Michael's crew. The end.
Yeah.
That was pretty tight, I guess. That
was tight.
felt
That
a
was
little
good.
faster than usual.
Yeah.
I glossed over some things, as usual. I'd say the biggest thing that I glossed over, which we can get to now, is the fact that this group of robbers, they are all working for sort of like a crime boss.
He's like his Israeli arms dealer, it seems like.
Yeah, I think they said arms dealer at some point. It's kind of vague, the backstory there, which I would have liked more. But his name is Lustig, I think.
Yeah.
And, he's just basically, like, threatening them into pulling this job off for him. They did another job for him at the very beginning of the script. You see them rob a bank, and it kind of goes badly. And
Well, it goes perfectly, except for the fact that Gabriel looked at the safety deposit box they were supposed to be stealing.
He looked inside it.
He looked inside
and there was some kind of a sensor in there that it can detect if you look in it. And for whatever reason, he didn't want anyone looking in it.
Luskin did, yeah.
Right. Why would that matter? If he gets it.
I mean, maybe it's very classified. I don't know. Very something.
I don't know.
For privileged eyes only.
Well, but like you sort of said earlier, it's like almost a MacGuffin, but not.
It's like a post-MacGuffin.
Yeah.
It's like
they never explain what it is, but there's no reason to not explain. Like, I feel like the intrigue of having a MacGuffin is when everyone is going after it, but they get it in, like, the first act of the script, and they still never say what it is, and it's like, you might as well. Like, it's annoying not knowing.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so important. I also don't know why this guy, Lustig, cares so much about them pulling off this robbery. I don't know how much money they're getting out of this, first of all. But
it seems like a lot.
He seems to already have a lot of money.
Who?
I don't know.
Lustig, yeah.
He has like a whole warehouse that he like sets up for them with a mock-up of the scene that they're robbing. He did it both for the bank and for this new one. He built a whole mock-up of it. That's more of a general thing that this made me think of, because that's sort of a trope in a lot of these types of movies, the heist movie. They'll have a mock-up of the scene.
But not like an actual to-scale physical space.
Well, it should be to scale, right? I think it was to scale, at least. I mean, what's the use of it if it's not? But that would be so... Yeah, right?
Do a lot of these movies have?
I feel like, Ocean's 11 they did.
Really? Like they had a building where they...
You remember? They filmed the whole fake thing for the security camera.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
I mean, that's the very common trope is to like present the heist going perfectly and then later carry out the heist and then complications.
But anyway, my point is, it seems like that would take a lot of money to do that.
Right.
And so I hope he's making a ton of money off of this because he's putting a lot into it already. So I don't know why.
Presumably, the things that they're acquiring for him, that they're stealing for him, are like some sort of like government, like some
big chunks of gold is what they are, right?
No.
What were those big chunks of gold?
The big chunks of gold were just also there.
Oh.
The thing that he wanted was like in a bag.
Sort of.
It's not like the money. I imagine it's something important, like nuclear codes or something like that.
Whatever. I guess I don't care that much, but it wasn't intriguing enough for me to care.
See, I was intrigued, and then when it wasn't paid off, it kind of was a bummer.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about this before we started recording. The Lustin character is a little... he's a little too vague. He's just supposed to be this menacing
Yeah,
dude, but we never really get a sense of how menacing he is, aside from him saying like awful ways
like
that he would
he's gonna
describe awful ways.
track down your family and kill them. You know,
Yeah, like that
that
sort of
old
shit.
chestnut. That's like, come on.
Well, I mean,
You
cool,
can do
bro.
better than
Anyone can
you.
track
Yeah,
down a family and kill
that's
them.
what all the bad guys say.
Yeah.
What's so special about that?
So that just kind of, I think it's non-specificity, especially when compared to how grounded everything else was, kind of felt a little cartoonish to me,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Movie-ish, whereas a lot of everything else seemed kind of lived in.
Okay. Another thing I didn't really talk about, which is important, I guess. Just it would have required a lot longer of a summary, but Chris, the cop who they choose to kill as a diversion from all this, is the nephew of like the police chief, or I don't know what his actual title is.
He's not the chief, but he's like kind of a legend in the police department.
Yeah.
He's been there for like several decades.
And so Chris gets sort of fast tracked onto the like the whatever squad the LAPD has that's specific for like fighting gang violence and stuff.
And he also leaves a really juicy beat. He's like, he has a really cush job
Right.
in Venice Beach.
Right. So when he gets here to his new job, all these like really hardened LAPD officers that are working in like South Central and stuff, they really don't like him. They think he's just like a privileged,
Yeah, and he is.
kind of like, newbie pampered, which was a good angle, like having him be like this young, naive guy. He's the perfect mark for them, I guess, in that
Right.
sense.
And then they start building back against that when his partner Tompkins, who is one of the criminals, or one of the crooked cops, starts like gaining respect for him.
Some of that stuff read really cheesy to me, though. Like he says, "Get over yourself, Chris. Stop thinking about how good you're doing your job and focus on the good your job is doing. You'll find your purpose." Nobody talks like that.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. Or it's very like kind of cliche cop talk, I guess.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Here's another one from the same scene. He says, "Accept the fact that you're a little fucked up, because the kind of man that chooses to do what we do every day has got to be a little crazy to begin with."
Right. I mean, it didn't. Yeah.
It's maybe because I was reading it in that voice in my head that all came off pretty bad.
That voice in your head doesn't help.
That
matters.
uber macho type voice. Maybe I wasn't selling it, but that was how it came across to me.
I liked the stuff about like examining Chris's privilege and his ambition, and I wish that the screenplay would have toned down the like heightening the plot and focused like settled in on the characters and their relationship.
Yeah, well, I agree that like some of the dialogue heavy scenes were some of the stronger ones to me, but unfortunately, this is not the type of movie that should be relying on dialogue as much as it should action and plot to me.
But see, I think it's a better movie if it forgoes the action and plot. Like, I think they could have just not called it 999 and done away with this whole second heist.
Okay.
And just dealt with the aftermath of the first heist, where Chris and Chris's uncle Jeffrey are trying to solve the first bank robbery, and then just deal with that like procedural element, and then also the lives of everyone involved, the criminals and the cops.
Well, that's
because they have interesting backstories. I'm advocating for a different movie.
That's what I was gonna say. That's like a fundamentally different movie. I think this one wants to be like a heist movie and very much like hinging on cool action scenes.
It wants to be both, I think.
Maybe that's the problem.
Because it's giving, like, it points out, or it describes the race of each character, which I thought was interesting. You don't see a lot. I like that a lot.
Did not like that. I did not like that.
I don't know. That way it's not going to be a whitewashed movie, and it's going to be true to the diversity of Los Angeles.
I guess. Maybe my complaint is that I wish you didn't have to specify in order to get a diverse movie.
Like, this is weird, terrible, but like, what's the last movie you saw that has like a white person, a Latino person, an Asian person, and a black person in it.
Gosh.
Like, this movie ostensibly will have all four
Yeah.
of those. If they, depending on how closely they stick to the script.
Right.
In roles that are
prominent.
somewhat prominent, yeah.
Yeah. It felt sort of amateurish to me, though, and maybe I'm reading into this way too much, but the fact that he specified the race for all of them, yeah, it felt like his intentions were good. Like, he wants a diverse cast. But at the same time, it felt like he was just trying too hard to me, and...
But when you're dealing with the LAPD, there's gonna be white people, Latino people, and black people. Like, if you're doing, like, an honest representation of that,
okay.
Like, without fail, that's gonna be the case.
We should get out of this territory. This is not really talking about the script anymore.
It's relevant.
Oh, but I wanted to say something. Why did I think that you remember the character Brett, which was like the prostitute that
it was interesting.
Michael was it Michael that was seeing her?
Mm-hmm.
Was she a transvestite?
Oh shoot, that's interesting because the opening scene.
That's exactly why.
Is they recall a past case where that involved a transgender person.
That's the reason I thought that, but also the name Brett.
Brett. I don't know that I've ever met a female Brett.
Yeah, right? But they never explicitly say.
They never explicitly say.
But it's this prostitute that Michael sees regularly.
It's weird, though, too, because they don't reveal her to be a prostitute until, like, very late into the screenplay.
Wait, am I making that up? Was it Michael or was it someone else?
It was Michael, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Who's, like, the leader of the gang.
Who's the leader of the gang. His half-brother or stepbrother is Gabriel, who's kind of, like, messed up. He's... In a previous heist, he killed someone. And he feels like really guilty about that.
Yeah.
And now he abuses drugs a lot, and is like by far the most unreliable person, and that bears itself out. Over
his girlfriend is sort of enabling that as well.
Yeah, his girlfriend,
who's also a supermodel. Happens.
Oh yeah, it really kind of annoyed me that they really specified all the characters are super attractive.
Yeah.
Like the opening
everyone's
scene,
hot or handsome.
God, that's so dumb.
Yeah,
the parts for women, which is weird. Like I wonder what Kate Winslet's going to do in this movie. What I was... Because as written right now, the roles are very, very thin.
It's all flimsy. Just a bunch of macho dudes.
It's a bunch of macho dudes with their hot wives, and the hot wives
are all emotionally
are
unstable, or and cooking a lot.
Yeah.
Not good.
So for as much else I want to commend him for at least engaging with race and class, he doesn't really do such a good job with gender, at least in this draft.
This is a different topic altogether, but I thought there were a lot of really over-the-top things to do with the heist, or both heists, I guess, and just the way that they are pulling off some of this stuff. Okay, they get away in a car, and then they set it on fire in a parking garage and jump into another car, which is described in a really matter-of-fact and quick way, I thought.
I mean, that seems like a pretty good... I like that. I don't know.
But at least...
maybe you don't need to set it on fire.
This is... Okay, I'm going to make an analogy to real life here. This is exactly the same reason that I hate people on those little, hoverboard Segway things.
Yeah, those are whack.
Because it looks like... They always are just, standing with their arms crossed, and they look like a little genie floating down the street or something. They look totally unimpressed by this amazing thing that they're riding, and that they're basically floating. And it's we're all just supposed to accept that. This setting the car on fire thing is equally ridiculous and crazy, and they don't acknowledge it as such. It's literally buried within a huge paragraph of action. They're saying they do all this other stuff, and then they set the car on fire and they leave. That's how it's described, and it made me mad.
Right.
That should at least get its own action line. Maybe some capital letters in there,
Yeah, throw some cap locks on. Cap lock.
Make it really have some punch to it, because that's a crazy thing to do. And then some other things.
I really like their getaway plan, though.
I didn't really.
That's how I would do
I
it,
didn't
man.
I didn't fully understand it. They burn one car, they get in another, then they put that car on a shipping container.
Yeah.
And then ship it somewhere. I don't know.
Shit out to sea. Get it out. You can't find a car that.
I mean, I guess, but That's another thing where it's like they have so many resources at their disposal. I don't know
Right.
why they're grabbing for money.
And when you reach a certain point of having like unlimited resources, yeah,
It defeats the purpose of robbing
it
anyone.
doesn't work. It decreases the believability of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And makes it feel kind of, as I said before, cartoonish.
Yeah. But okay, so they burn the car.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's Michael, has just a drawer full of cell phones. And he's like, at several points in the story, he will make a single call and then he will break the phone in half and throw it away. That's
smart, man. You gotta have burner phones. That's how.
But a drawer full of them. It seemed like
I don't know if you keep them in your in your residence. I don't know if that's smart, but
it seemed...
in like The Wire,
Uh-huh.
or like all, at least from watching,
I haven't watched
The Wire.
I haven't watched The Wire.
Yeah, they're all about burner phones. That's how you can't get your phone line tapped.
It seemed like it was just trying way too hard to be badass.
Yeah, I think the whole Luskin thing is where it really peaks in terms of trying to be badass, creating this really menacing, imposing, like super boss type character that isn't really justified by the rest of the screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hate when things try to be badass.
Yeah, me too.
It's like my least favorite quality in things. All things.
Wow.
Like top 5, at least.
Okay. This is a little thing that really bothered me, though. Mm-hmm. This is like a pivotal moment in the entire script, right? So they pick Chris to kill partly because they know already if you have a 999, everyone's going to go to the scene. It's a cop down.
Mm-hmm.
But especially because it's this guy, and he's the nephew of Jeffrey Allen.
Who kind of calls the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when that finally happens in the script, they call in the 999, someone runs to Jeffrey's desk, and he says, "We got a 999." And he just goes, "And?"
Does he?
Yeah, that's his reaction to it. And he doesn't even seem like it's a big deal. And then they even tell him, it's Chris. Which, first of all, is not true. It's not like
It was Chris that called it in.
Yeah.
Not Chris that was shot.
Yeah, so it screwed up twice to me in a super serious part of the
Where is
script.
this? I want to see this.
Page 100.
Oh, so he says and then it's Chris, and then he reacts. He jumps from his seat and fumbles to get his gun.
Right, but I'm saying it pisses me off because
it's
really not care. Chris.
I mean, it's not technically a lie, like, just receive the 999.
I mean, and presumably if one of them is down, the other one's in danger too.
Not a
fine,
good spot,
but
yeah.
It was dealt with in a really inelegant way, I felt like.
Sure.
And it was such an important... That's like the whole premise is about.
They could have thrown like a exclamation point there or something.
Nary an exclamation mark.
Yeah. To be fair, Jeffrey might have been drunk.
Right, he is a drunk.
He's a drunk and a racist.
That is his, primary characteristic.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like about the whole climax was, why is Gabriel there? Like, I know why he's there. He's there to, stop it from them killing the innocent Chris. But if he's so strung out in drugs and so, so messed up, can't get his shit together, he's not going to be able to get his shit together to follow Tompkins to wherever Tompkins has set this up and then intervene in such an impactful way. I just don't buy that. And
all I had to do was follow him in the car. That's not
But if he were capable of that, he wouldn't have fucked up in the first place. He wouldn't have opened the box when he shouldn't have opened the box.
Those are two completely different things. His curiosity just got the best of him. He looked in the box.
That's the whole reason why they have to do this second heist, because he looked in the box.
Yeah, well, I know. That's hugely important to the plot, but
And he's the one that got a tail on himself and got...
Right.
By doing a lot of heroin and telling his girlfriend that he's rich because he just robbed a bank.
Yeah.
And then getting his girlfriend pissed off at him, so his girlfriend runs her mouth.
I think he made some really dumb, in-the-moment mistakes like that, but I don't think that really speaks to his inability to just follow someone to the scene of this shooting.
But it's more than that, because he didn't really follow them. He was already there, right?
No, I think they said that... You remember... They said that they found a car...
Oh.
They found a car near the scene, which had his fingerprints on it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I assume he just followed them in the car there.
Okay.
But I mean, I still see your point that,
But I think when you're in just such a bad place, it's hard to, like, in
yeah,
just, I mean, I know it's a movie, but when you're in such a bad place, it's like hard to get yourself together to do such a dramatic thing.
yeah.
Um,
I want to mention one other thing that I think we can agree was really ridiculous, which was this flashback that happened towards the end. So to explain, they did the heist, they got away with it, and they got whatever this mysterious package was. They give it to Lustig, the crime boss guy, and he pays Michael all of the money. They had like an agreed upon fee for this or whatever. But it's up to Michael to like dole out the portions to all of his guys. So he goes and meets with Rodriguez, one of them, to give him his share of the money. And right when he does, Rodriguez like pulls a gun on Michael and says, "You're the only one who can link us to this job now."
Tuscan, yeah.
Yeah, and he means like us, meaning like the cops, because Michael's not a cop, but
Gabriel's dead.
Right. But he is an associate of theirs, so he's the only thing linking them anymore. So he just was going to kill him, and Michael. First of all, I don't think he reacts enough to that. He plays it way too cool, and he's just like, "Nah, bro, it's all good. You don't need to shoot me, because I already killed Luskin." And then they do this flashback to a scene that like just happened.
Less than 10 pages before.
Yeah, just a few pages ago, when he was getting the money from Luskin. It just shows a little bit more that we didn't see, where Luskin opens up the package and explodes. And, it turns out Michael, like, booby-trapped it. So now Luskin's dead, and they're cool. They don't need to worry about it. And then Rodriguez just shoots Michael anyway. But that flashback was really ridiculous. And then, like you were saying, if they could have just killed him anyway.
It seemed too easy to kill Luskin after they made such a big deal about how untouchable he was.
Yeah. Like, they could have just killed him, and they wouldn't have had to do
also,
this whole
what if
job.
Luskin, like, checks out the package in the presence of Michael?
Yeah, then
And
he's
they both
screwed.
die. But yeah, maybe we've gone long, so we should wrap it.
Yeah, verdicts.
So we also we were experiencing little technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And while doing that, we watched the trailer for this movie. It comes out February of 2016. It's got a great cast, so watch the trailer, read the screenplay, see the movie. Maybe.
If you want. The trailer, I don't know. It looks a bit different.
It looks a bit different.
That's to be expected, but...
And trailers are often misleading, but there's clearly new characters that aren't in this version of the screenplay, so it'll be interesting to see.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
It doesn't look worse than the script.
No. Okay, so...
it's just...
And from there, you might as well just carry on to your verdict, which...
I think it's a double pass for me.
A double pass. I feel like I'm always just the more generous one, with the exception of Yellowstone Falls. But I would...
yeah.
I don't think this is a perfect screenplay by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought it was pretty good. I would give it like a mild recommend.
Okay.
For
the script, the writer, what?
I'd consider the writer, and I'd give the screenplay a mild recommend, I guess.
Wait. Recommend?
Mild. Or a strong consider. I'd give it a definite consider.
Don't let me change your mind, but wow, I mean, I thought we were reserving recommends for really special scripts in this.
No, you're right. I guess in that sense, then
think
maybe
of the flashback.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Flashback in your mind to the flashback.
Okay. That was less than 10 minutes ago, too. I would give them both considers with a stronger consider for the screenplay. I guess you talked me down a little bit.
I don't know, man.
But I think there's a lot to like here. I think, like, say 1990s Michael Mann was directing this, it would have the potential to be a great movie.
I don't know.
With a rewrite of the script, which they've clearly done.
I think it would have to be rewritten a lot, which, it seems like they have.
Because the ending now is just not good. Like, it ends with the expectation of a sequel.
Yeah.
And it ends with Chris saying he's going to hunt down the entire crew and, like, exact revenge, like, bring them to justice. But really, the crew's, like, half dead.
Yeah,
Like it's 60.
yeah.
It's the crew is 60% dead or in a
And
coma.
I don't like the other guys in the crew anyway. The
And
ones I was most sympathetic with were Michael and Gabriel, and they're both dead.
right,
So
they're
I don't really
the two
care.
remaining, Rodriguez
Do whatever
and
you want to them.
Welch. Well, yeah, they're just the least fleshed out.
Yeah.
So the ending obviously needs work, and they've obviously changed it for the movie. But it could be like a big operatic L.A. crime story. Like
Yeah.
Michael Mann directing this in 1995. Maybe that's a great movie.
Those are a lot of ifs. There's a lot of conditionals, qualifications
I
you
think
put
it
on
was
there.
two. I think it was
But
just
those are
two.
big. Those are big ones. You're talking about time travel here.
I'm talking about, yeah. Well, maybe this would be like everyone said. I didn't see Black Hat, but everyone said it was bad. Maybe it could be a return to form for Michael Mann. We'll never know because he didn't direct it. John Hillcoat did. But he's a
Whatever.
good director in his own right.
How about a spin-off movie about the possibly transvestite hooker Brett,
Possibly, it's possible.
also starring Woody Harrelson?
Any movie starring Woody Harrelson is a movie I would consider watching.
Oh,
Let's
it's a
go on
bold
record.
endorsement. Okay, next week we're reading a script called Murder of a Cat by Christian Magalis and Robert Snow, a darkly comic noir about a guy trying to unravel the mystery around the murder of his pet cat.